Hello and good evening, wherever you're watching. Welcome to Kensington Oval in Barbados for the fifth and final T20 International between the West Indies women and England women. Here for the toss with me is match referee Mr. Rion King, and of course I have the two captains, West Indies captain Hayley Matthews and the English captain Heather Knight. Hayley, you have the coin.
Heads call.
Heads is the call. And it's a tail. Well, she can hardly believe it. Hayley Matthews, you've won a toss. What are you going to do and why?
Yeah, so we're going to have a bat today. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have a bat for the entire series first. So, yeah, it gives our batters a good opportunity to get out there and hopefully put a good score on the board.
Well, you've won a toss. Might this be a turnaround and some luck?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, lost the first 4 tosses and lost the first 4 games. So, hopefully we can win this toss and have some better luck with the game result as well.
Yeah, Hayley, you're down 4-0. What do you do with your team today as a final thing? Your first time captaining in your country. How do you raise the spirits today?
Yeah, I think for us it's just about going out there. I'm playing with no fear. At this point, I don't think we have too much to lose. So, yeah, just looking to go out there with some really, really positive attitudes and hope for a good result at the end of the day.
Thank you. Go well tonight.
Thank you.
All right, if we can get Heather. Heather, finally lose a toss. What would you have done had you won it?
I would have batted as well, but nice to mix it up. Nice to obviously do a different discipline first and see what we can do out here.
Yeah, it's just been a dominant time for you here in the region, and I know you're getting ready for a big competition in February. What would be the number one takeaway for you that you think you guys have got from your time in the Caribbean?
I think just establishing how we want to play and how we want to go about our cricket moving forward. Myself and Louis have been very clear about how we want the girls to do things. We want to be aggressive. We want to take away the fear and just free up a little bit, and I think the girls have done that really well on occasionally challenging surfaces. So yeah, there's been some real positives.
I know you've given yourself a few challenges. Any changes for tonight?
Yes, we've made various changes again. So Bell, Brunt, Glenn and Winfield sitting out tonight.
All right, thank you so much and go well.
Great, thank you very much.
All right, so the news from the middle here at Kensington Oval is that West Indies have won the toss and they're going to have a bat first.
Well, we're once again centre pitch. Hello and welcome to the Kensington Oval in Barbados for the 5th and final T20 between West Indies and England. We're once again centre of pitch where 3 matches have been played previously. Some 581 runs have been scored on this pitch and 51 wickets have been taken. The pitch, let's have a look. It's quite dry, it's compact and it's very hard, which means batting will again be really good for batters, but bowlers, with that due factor later on, it will become a bit challenging for batting. The square boundaries are pretty big boundaries. Batters, well, they should target the straighter boundaries. Again, application will be key. Stay tuned.
Welcome you in to the action at the Kensington Oval for this 5th and final T20 International. It's the final matchup of this series. The West Indies women up against the England women. And as you heard there, Hayley Matthews has finally won a toss in this series. And the West Indies have opted to take first knock. It's going to be Izzy Wong with the ball in hand. First game for her. The young 20-year-old seamer. They've made a couple changes. Both teams, the West Indies making 2 of them. As you heard there, with Karishma Ramarat coming in place of Kaisia Schultz, and Shemaine Campbell out for Kaishana Knight. As I say, good evening to Roland Butcher.
Yeah, Nikhil, good evening. And yes, we've come to the final game in this series, obviously against West Indies and England. And really, West Indies would love to pull one off tonight. Playing a miss. And yeah, certainly West Indies would love to finish this series with a victory tonight. That would be a morale booster for the team if that could happen.
Well, it is a big game. Of course, even though they've lost this series, the West Indies, a T20 World Cup is on the horizon. So they'll want to get a win here. They fought in that New Zealand series and got better as it went on. You could argue the same in this one. They've fought hard in the last couple of matches. And Hayley Matthews, she's been brilliant at the top of the order in the last 2 games and picking up right where she left off. First boundary for her and first for the Windies.
Yeah, lovely shot. Short and wide. And Haley Matthews just putting that away. Yes, she's managed to get starts in most of these games, just have not been able to go on. And a lot of that could really be to do with the pressure that surrounds her in terms of being captain and off spinner and main batter as well.
Well, she's had a good couple of days as well, because not only has she picked up runs and wickets, she's increased her place in the ICC T20 International rankings up to 2nd place in the T20I all-rounders and 4th amongst the bowlers. So this series, just telling you, just a testament really to how good she's been. She'll look for 2 here. From an England perspective, have to hurry back, Haley Matthews. Thought it made it look a bit closer than we thought it was initially, but seems to get home safely in the end.
Yeah, she didn't run the bat in. Seemed to just run through with her feet. Return was a good one. But yeah, she's obviously, you know, fantastic to see her actually risen to those performances, particularly in the situation that West Indies are in right now, where, you know, she's having to carry the team in most areas. It's commendable to have reached that, you know, to reach number 2, certainly in the all-rounders. That's fantastic.
England have made changes as well. That's why we're seeing Izzy Wong with the ball in hand. The destructive Lauren Bell, 9 wickets in the 3 matches, not playing today. Neither is Catherine Brunt. So the 2 seamers getting a rest. And it's going to be up to Wong, Freya Davies and Alice Davison-Richards to bowl the majority of the seam today. But a good first over for the West Indies. Get 7 from it. 7 for none.
Yeah, excellent start. And really what Haley Matthews needs, she needs some support from the other end so that she can be a little bit more relaxed. You know, if that can happen, then obviously the team will benefit as a result of that. Otherwise, you know, the pressure will mount on her. So we need some of the other girls to step up, these other batters, and, you know, nothing to lose. This last game, they have nothing to lose. Just really just play with a bit of freedom.
It's going to be Freya Davies, the 27-year-old, into the attack. And Matthews will know her importance. Alia Aline, she's had a difficult series, really. You can say across the 2 series, 1 internationals and T20 internationals, she's opened the batting in both, but she's had a tough time out there. Just the 1 score of 16 of real significance. So this is a big opportunity for her. And it seems to be a pretty dry surface, so it could be a good toss to win for Haley Matthews. Very full. And I think, Roland, you could say with the addition of Wong and Davies, less experienced than a Catherine Brunt and probably less threatening than a Lauren Bell, this is a golden opportunity for the West Indies to win this game.
It most definitely is, and it's also an opportunity for these replacement players for England to, you know, further themselves in the team as well, because they know that once the other players come back, just how difficult it will be.
There is that deep third field in place, especially for Izzy Wong, who we saw in that first over, just 20 years old, but she's had injury problems, so great to see her out and firing for the English, testing their resources and their depth going into that World Cup.
Yes, and it's important from the point of view of letting people get as much match practice as possible. You know, net practice is fine, but you've got to get into the middle, spend time in the middle.
Quite a long time since we had that 4th T20 International on Sunday, and where the West Indies were disappointingly bowled out for 82 after they had bowled so well. So they want to rectify those issues with the bat in hand.
Just a little bit of swing, actually. Seen Izzy Wong swung a couple in the first over. Same thing in the second over. Nice bit of shape.
Wicket, and it's the big one of Haley Matthews. seem to be in two minds advancing down the track, but it's pace this time that gets her.
Yeah, I think when we look at this, I think you'll find that this ball has actually done, you know, a little bit of something, and Haley perhaps in the end looking to run it towards third man, maybe just deceived by the length and the movement of the delivery. And she's the big one. She's gone now. The others, batters, they've got to step up now. And obviously the loss of Haley is a big blow to the team.
That wicket falling 9 for 1. So early setback for the Windies. And Davies would have seen the way Lauren Bell was able to bowl from this end, the Malcolm Marshall end here at the Kensington Oval, and get that prodigious inward movement. She got that similar movement and was able to attack the stumps, making good use of the new ball, England.
So far, it's looked as if the ball is going to do something. It'd be nice to see a replay just to be absolutely certain in terms of which direction that ball went, because it ended up with Hayley Matthews opening the face of the bat, and which suggests that there was some movement.
Nine for 1 as Janaba Joseph gets a promotion in at 3. This one goes past the outside edge, and even though it didn't carry to the keeper, still a bit happening off the surface.
Yes, a little bit of upward movement again. As you said, didn't carry through to the keeper. I think if it got an outside edge, it would have died before it got to the keeper. But the length was perfect for a new batsman, new batter who's just come in, trying to get used to the surface, to the light.
There again, this has been a glorious start for England yet again in this T20 International Series. First blood, end of 2 overs, 9 for 1.
Yeah, very good over. Not just the wicket, but certainly the length that she bowled in that over. Freya Davis getting every ball pretty much in the channel. So the batter having to play at every ball. So that's exactly what you want with a new ball. Ensure that the batter is having to play.
Also interesting to see Janaba Joseph sent in at 3, because the West Indies have tried different personnel at 3 across the series. We've seen Kaisia Knight to start, who's not in the team today. Even Rashada Williams didn't last too long, was dismissed in that very first over of the last game. And it's Nat Siva into the attack.
That's a nice piece of fielding at mid-wicket, and the English very chirpy at the moment. And so should they be. Into the 5th game. Got the main batter out. Some new players playing tonight. Should be chirpy.
Yeah, it has been their most successful series in the Caribbean in a long time, especially if they can close out the game today and go unbeaten across 8 matches. That just signals one thing: dominance.
Well, it also signals the difference really between the two sides at this moment in time in terms of personnel. Obviously England with a very strong bench. Nice delivery, bang on target.
Yeah, it must be said as well that England have rotated pretty much throughout this series, and it tells you that the difference in resources as well. Don't think there have been many times where you could say the West Indies have actually put England on the back foot. Ali now just 1 from 5 deliveries. And the West Indies, when they lose Hayley Matthews early, they have struggled with the bat in hand. They'll think back to that first T20 International in Antigua. The only other time they batted first in the series, they only got to 105 and were 27 for 3 after the power play. So it was a miserable start to the innings. And she's actually walked onto her stumps, Alia Aline. And a good threatening delivery from Nat Silva. And England are on their way again.
Yes, and that's well bowled. It was the surprise element of that short ball. I don't think Aline would have been looking for the short ball off the final delivery. There was a field change just before that. Obviously, a fine leg was put in place on the deep square leg. Third man was brought up into the ring, and Silva just surprised her with that short pitch delivery. She lost her footing and ended up going hit wicket. So it's an unlucky way to go, but good thinking by the bowler.
But even without their two main seamers, they have someone like Nat Silva who's got an excellent record in T20 international cricket with the ball in hand. And England, like they've done across this series, take wickets with the new ball and make the most of it. And it brings Rashada Williams in at number 4, who has been by far the best West Indies batter on display. They need her one more time tonight.
Yeah, Williams has shown good capabilities in the last 3 or 4 games here, and with Matthews back in the pavilion right now, a lot of responsibility now is on her shoulders to ensure that this team can get a target that they can fight with.
9 for 2, 1 delivery remaining in this third over. Working to get that score issue we have rectified for you, the viewers at home, but 9 for 2, and Heather Knight isn't going to let up. She's got an extra slip in place. Catching close to the bat, just the 2 fielders out the circle in the power play. Deep third and mid-wicket, packed offside field. Point, extra cover and mid-off. England have got their tail up. What an over it was, really, from Nat Silva. Maiden wicket, 9 for 2.
Yeah, terrific over, maintaining the pressure that was exerted by Freya Davis in the second over of the innings, but also going one better by picking up that wicket as well. So really, West Indies have not made the start that they would have envisaged when they started this innings. 9 for 2.
Yeah, they made 4 changes, England, but they have retained Charlie Dean, the off-spin option, in their team tonight, and she has been the destroyer along with Lauren Bell. Both have gotten 9 wickets in 3 matches, still to come into the attack. But right now it's been all seam. Still Davies continuing for her second. Down the leg side, they'll get some, the West Indies. Her first over went for just 2 runs and she picked up the wicket. Good piece of fielding down at that fine leg boundary.
Yeah, once again you still see the movement of that delivery across the right-handed batter. Obviously came off the pad, but still some swing, and that's something we haven't seen a lot of.
Well, Lauren Bell has been the only seamer really to get that prodigious swing. She's really caused problems with that balls into the right-hander and challenging the stumps. But Davies in a couple of deliveries has shown she can do a bit of both. And again, just getting it to leave the right-hander. Is it the angle, wide of the crease, angling in, and then off the seam, getting it to move away?
Very much the length. It's that in-between length where the batter can't get forward or can't get back. So they end up really playing from on top of the crease. And then with the late movement, I think very fortunate that there's not a lot of bunks in the pitch right now, because you could easily end up following one of those deliveries.
On the back leg, and the finger goes up. Dead in front, Rashada Williams, and it's a third for England, and the worries continue for the West Indies.
Yes, be very disappointed with that shot, really. Try to literally sweep it, a full-length delivery, and especially with the ball swinging, you've got, playing on the onside is fraught with danger when the ball is swinging, particularly away from the batter. And Williams, she wasn't even playing with a straight bat. It was more of a scoop sweep. And obviously the late swing, she goes for that. West Indies in trouble.
Freya Davies, she has looked on song in these first 9 deliveries she's bowled. It brings Shabika Gajdabi. It's great to see her out in the middle for the Windies because she had an injury scare in the 40-20I, didn't bat, but has recovered since. Had a leg injury, non-contact. Would have been a scary moment for her, but excellent to see her back and ready. So two very young players in the middle for the Windies. Janaba Joseph, the under-19, and Gajdabi, who's just 22 years old.
And the keeper has seen enough and decided to stand up. So Davies, who now has excellent figures of 2 for 3.
Here Amy Jones to our effects mic. She deserves immense credit with the way she's taken over from Sarah Taylor with the gloves on, and I think her glove work is up there with the best in the world. She can stand up to the stump pretty much for any of these seamers.
Well, it's a huge advantage when you can do that, because depending on the surface, obviously some batters would bat out of their crease, but if the keeper is in position, she really is on target, right? Every ball literally bang on target, and with a little bit of movement, it's making it very difficult for the batters.
Really was the perfect setup though, because Davies was in that goodish area, good length area pretty much throughout the over, but then pitched one up a bit fuller and was accurate on the stumps and just pummeled into the back part of Rashada Williams. Easy decision for Jacqueline Williams. Just the one run from the over and a wicket as well. England are on top and in charge. End of 4 overs, 10 for 3.
And those last 3 deliveries were well played by Ghaznabi, just watching the ball swing and importantly staying straight, playing with a straight bat, not going across the line of the ball. And when the ball is swinging, you can't play across the line. You've got to keep the bat coming straight down the middle. And she lined those 3 up very nicely.
It's going to be Nat Siva bowling the 5th over. Similar story though. The last time this team batted first, they lost 3 wickets in the power play. Here again tonight, losing 3 in the first 4 overs. And England will be wanting more. Still 2 slips in place. Deep third, deep backward square outside of the circle. Is a big opportunity though for Joseph, Gajdabi and even a Trishan Holder still to come. 3 of the youngest players in this West Indies team to spend some time at the crease, because they've lost early wickets and they can occupy the crease and gain a bit more experience.
Nikhil, I'll tell you something. Joseph haven't scored many runs, but I like the way that she looks at the crease. There's a bit of a presence in terms of her batting. She may not score runs now, but I'm absolutely certain that in time she will score runs, because she seems to have that makeup to be a competent batsman.
Has used her feet against spin. Punched nicely. This will be runs. Joseph, she tried it a couple of times. Timed it well. Comes up for 2. Is that the formula though, Roland? Putting these younger players in positions, and even though they might lose now, potentially winning with these younger players in 2 to 3 years when they develop.
Well, if you're losing all the time, you can't just continue with the same players, because you give people an opportunity and you may be surprised. Right, as I said, she hasn't scored many runs, but I'm telling you, this is a girl that is going to score runs.
The interesting thing is, even though Trishan Holder got that run about 21 a couple of games ago, when I speak to some of the coaches that Joseph has worked around, they reckon she's an even better player than Holder. So it tells you that there is something good to come.
I've only seen her in these games, and she hasn't batted for long. But what I've seen tells me that she has what it takes. She now has to really learn the game, get more confident being at this level, being part of the team. You've got to be patient with her.
Goes short again, not Siva. But Gajnabi takes it on and finally is off the mark. She's worked very hard with her brother, Mbiki Joseph, who played for the West Indies under-19 and 2 World Cups ago. So she has good people around her, and it'll be interesting to see how she develops, especially in that T20 World Cup come next year.
Yeah, as I said, with the young players, you have to be patient. You cannot expect them to just come in and perform like experienced players. It's just not going to happen.
Able to keep it out. Just the 4 runs from the over though. End of 5, England on top, 14 for 3.
Good evening. Welcome back to Kensington Oval here. 14 for 3, a really difficult start for the hosts. The captain going cheaply. And Nat Siva, Freya Davies getting in the wickets early here. West Indies won a toss. They haven't been winning tosses this series. Put themselves into bat there, and they're in some bother. This one struck down the ground. She didn't get hold of it, and it's taken very easily. Another wicket gone.
Afternoon, Alex Jordan. And good afternoon to our viewers. Another one bites the dust. 4 for 14, West Indies at Shabika Gajnabi. And this time around tries to take on the onside. Couldn't get past the inner ring. An easy catch for Sophie Eccleston in the end.
Izzy Wong getting in the wickets. Like her compatriots, it will be good for her, having just come back from a thigh strain. Hasn't been playing much. So to pick up a wicket, she'll feel good about that. But West Indies in all sorts of bother here. Stacey Ann, from what you've seen so far, I mean, this is a woeful start. 4 wickets gone already. We're not out of the power play. What is going on here? Is it just the transition? Are we seeing a change of generation and therefore a struggle?
Oh, definitely a struggle. 4 wickets down and 4 quality wickets as well, including skipper Hayley Matthews. And again, some of the shots that these players have gotten out to hasn't been anything out of the blue. It has literally been players making bad judgment, playing bad shots.
Well, these are young, inexperienced players here at the crease. This is the other 19-year-old, Trishan Holder.
I think this is just what it comes down to, these young players getting the opportunity. Janaba Joseph getting the opportunity at number 3. Didn't feature in the last game. But I think that this is a better position for her because she takes some time to score. She's not a very quick scorer. But as Roland Butcher was saying, she's very correct. Technically, she's correct. So once she has more time, you might just get more runs. Young Trishan Holder, who scored that runner ball 21 a few nights ago. And what I like is that they've not shown fear, these 2 young players.
Yeah, well, the captain, Hayley Matthews, said at the toss she wants them to play fearlessly. There's nothing to lose here. We've lost the series by some way. And for anyone who follows West Indies women's cricket, you know that there's been a lot of transition in the last 12 months, 18 months. And the team, Stacey Ann King, that won that T20 World Cup in 2016, well, that's disbanded, and we've got a new generation of talent.
Well, there has been a number of retirements as well as a number of senior players. Well, Anisa Mohammed taking a 6 months break from international cricket, as well as injuries, because we haven't seen Chanel Henry featured because of injury. Shameen Campbell, who is now injured as well and out of this tournament because of that split webbing.
Chadine Nation. Yeah, the number of injuries is a worry for the Windies.
And just unlike an England setup or an England team who has...
There's an appeal here to see if she was out of her crease.
I'm just wondering if Trishan Holder came out of her crease a bit, but umpire said no.
Sounding lively they are in the field today. It is Charlie Dean's birthday, 22nd birthday today, on the 22nd of December 2022. So all the twos, they must be feeling jubilant otherwise as well, this English side.
Yeah, we call that a golden birthday in Trinidad. I also guess she might be weighing her chances to come in to have a bowl. But you can see they're just really trying to intimidate these two young batters. There was a shy at the stumps at the wicketkeeper's end. But then there was an attempted shy at the stumps of the non-striker's end as well.
Swing and a miss, that's the over. So at the end of the power play, West Indies 16 for 4. There wasn't sort of more competition for them here in the region, but the winning feeling and learning to win and continually winning has been good. That's great for the confidence of a team. That's great for the morale of the team. Now, on the flip side for the Windies, they obviously know that they're playing a team that is superior to them in a lot of ways. What can the Windies garner from a series like this?
Well, firstly, Alex, with this power play 4 for 16, it has been their lowest of this series, as we see Sophie Eccleston making her way. She replaces Nat Siver from the Joel Garner end. And just to answer your question, Alex, Jordan, I think the fact that they've been able to bring in these young players, even though they haven't won any matches, I think just the experience. We've also seen a number of other players put their hands up. Cherry Ann Fraser with the new ball. We saw Kesia Schultz in the ODIs. So I think for the future, it's good building. But it's just a lot of pressure on Hayley Matthews per se, because it's literally her alone that has to carry this team, batting and bowling.
Yeah, and that's an impossibility. Maybe we saw Rashada Williams crumble from a bit of that pressure tonight, having been the second best batter in this side. But these two youngsters, Trishan Holder, Janaba Joseph, both on the West Indies under-19 side, and no doubt will just be thrilled to be playing England at Kensington Oval. Sophie Eccleston's got them in a bit of bother.
Yeah, she has. Janaba Joseph on strike. Hasn't been able to read Sophie Eccleston. Not a run has been scored.
Yeah, a maiden for the best bowler in this format in the world. 16 for 4 after 7. It is a Thursday evening here in Barbados, and we've got a few more people in the stands this evening, in the 3W stands, which is across from us here in the commentary box. It is a festive time of year, lots of people in Barbados, so Thursday night would be more than the new Friday on at this time of year, Stacey Ann King. Everyone will be priming up and excited to get into the festivities this evening, and I'm sure the English team as well. Here's the birthday girl getting ready to go. "22 years today." On the 22nd of December, says it's the first time she'll be playing on her birthday.
And she's been such a standout for England. 16 wickets she is picking up, Charlie Dean, in this series. 7 in the ODIs and already 9 wickets. There's a chance to carry that up in this match.
A big appeal. Yes, she's certainly, Charlie Dean, a contender for one of the players of the series. She's been fantastic.
And not just with ball, because she has scored runs batting as well.
Yes, Dino. Good, Dino.
Well, these spinners strangling the Windies here. Things moving very, very slowly. Oh, she's picked this one up. It hasn't got all of it. Should be taken comfortably, and is. The young Barbadian Trishan Holder caught in the deep, and another one gone.
Charlie Dean picks up her 10th wicket in this T20 series. And Trishan Holder falling to that trap more or less. There's been so many dot balls, so just trying to release that pressure. But she could only hold out to Nat Siver in the deep. Holder, she goes without scoring. West Indies lose their 5th for 16.
Well, she had to get going, didn't she, Stacey Ann King? They got to put a score on the board here. Something for their bowlers to bowl at. And, yeah, right now, though, it is a difficult circumstance for these Windies batters. Here's Kaishona Knight. We haven't seen Kaishona Knight for the series.
Honestly, I thought Kaishona Knight could have come in a bit earlier. And why I say that, she's possibly the only left-hander. Now, Cherry Ann Fraser she bats left-handed but bowls right-handed. But Kaishona Knight, she has a lot of experience as well. So, and then probably just to try and throw things off, throw bowlers off a bit, set the field, have them move around a bit, set the field differently. Sending her earlier might have been a better option.
Yeah, they could do with a few experienced campaigners in there. Very challenging setup. It's going to take a period of transition for this side.
Oh, yes, Dino.
There's got to be a quick run here. Oh, my goodness. Seems like they're safe.
I think that the dive again saves Janaba Joseph. Didn't seem to be interested in the single initially. Kaishona has to be a bit careful, because you've got to call, you've got to communicate with these young players.
Absolutely, and they're having a chat there in the middle. Probably suggesting they're going to need every run they can get at this stage, so really look alive to take those quick singles.
And Kaishona, well, she's played 54 matches, T20 matches for West Indies. Has an average of 12.36. Just look at how Janaba Joseph advances. Not afraid to again use her feet, even though in the second T20 she did get stumped out.
That's the over. After 8, Windies are 18 for 5.
current run rate 2.25.
Yeah, the average you mentioned there for Kaishona as well, not ideal, and perhaps that's what's happening here, that a number of senior players perhaps not performing to the standards expected to them, so new players must be allowed the opportunity to come through. Sophie Eccleston again from the Joel Garner end. Well, they're fired up, the English, aren't they?
And again, Sophie Eccleston just maintaining that line, that fourth stump line to Janaba Joseph, off stump line. Really troubling her.
Just got lucky there. Just beat the slip fielder. Will it run away to a boundary? A most fortunate and required boundary off the bat of Janaba Joseph.
Yeah, fortuitous for Janaba Joseph, just gets the edge and it beats Heather Knight in almost a second slip position. But 4 much needed runs for West Indies.
Stacey, you mentioned how important this experience is, just being here, regardless of the results for this young West Indies side.
Yeah, I think what it will do is just help these young players to understand what this level of cricket is.
Yeah, it was very difficult, I would imagine, to lose all these matches back to back. Remember, though, that they will play a tri-series in January against India and South Africa ahead of the T20 World Cup. So there's some more opportunities in their future before the World Cup.
And one would also think that they need to manage these 2 young players' workload because they are part of the under-19 teams setup who are destined to play that inaugural T20 World Cup in January of next year.
Yes, that's right, Trisha and Joseph for sure. That's the over. And the West Indies are 24 for 5.
Yeah, just talking about that experience that both players should be at least trying to grasp from these opportunities. Opportunities to work out at least top of the line bowling, because you look at Charlie Dean, who is not very much older than some of these players, and you think that just sharing the same just dressing room and being able to talk experiences and have a laugh with some of these players might, you know, those experiences are priceless.
Charlie Dean again. Time to the left-hander. Oh, she's a big swing and it's taken very nicely. It was a bit of a juggle, but she held on. Heather Knight holds on to Kaishona Knight, and the Windies lose another.
A disappointed Kaisia Knight, but a good catch from Heather Knight, who previous over, one from Janaba Joseph, well, it slipped through. Oh, it flew through the slips. And this time around, holding on, catching, taking a blinder. Heather Knight, as Charlie Dean strikes again. 2 wickets for 2 runs in her second over. West Indies lose their 6th on 24. Janaba Joseph, well, she's still there 9 off 19. As they take a drinks break.
Afi Fletcher slowly makes her way out to the middle. Can she put up some kind of stand here to prevent any unwanted records? It's a very small total at the minute, but they've got some overs to play with. Can hear very clearly the animated voices of the English through the stump mics down there. I hope they don't tell us what plans they have for the evening, because the world will be listening.
Well, I think everything will be around on that bowler, Charlie Dean, and the celebrations for her 22nd.
Come on, Dino.
AKA Dino. Jacqueline Williams is our umpire presiding.
That's Charlie.
Patrick Gustard, the square leg umpire. Afi Fletcher, the new batter. Wide.
And well read as well from Afi Fletcher. It's a feeler short, almost in a fine leg position.
You know Afi very well, Stacey Ann King. She's emerged a little bit in this T20 series as a bit of a sort of pinch hitter, like a, you know, striking the ball quickly. Perhaps needs must in this situation, but did you know her as that in your time?
Yeah, definitely one of the players who has grown over time where batting is concerned. Didn't just want to be a bowler for the team. So she's quite handy with bat in hand.
See what you did there. Off the mark. And she's got Janava Joseph, the young Trinidadian, at the other end. Roland Butcher likes what he sees. Sees a lot of potential there. Big swing, didn't get hold of it, but managing to rotate the strike, which is the least we can ask for, or perhaps the most we could ask for at this stage in a real sticky situation here, the Windies women.
I think their thought should be just to bat out these 20 overs.
She'll have to reload that one, Charlie Dean.
There's a few looseners.
Hesitation there about the run, decided against it. Just 28 runs on the board for the loss of 6 wickets at the halfway point.
We've had dominance, English dominance in the West Indies for 7 matches, and it continues in the first 10 overs of the 8th. It's been all England, 28 for 6 at the halfway stage, and has been by far the worst performance for the West Indies with bat in hand, as we're going to see Alice Davison-Richards into the attack, and into the attack in the commentary box, Mr. Roland Butcher. Sum this up for me, Roland.
Well, what can I say? Really, England very much in the box seat.
Leading edge, but will be just the 1. Now, the lowest ever total for West Indies in T20 international cricket is 41, and it came in 2008 against this England team. Could be staring down the barrel of less than that.
Well, it's an opportunity now, really, for young Joseph to look to bat out the rest of these overs and try to get some support from the low order. She's the one player she's got into double figures so far. Just need Afi Fletcher to stick around.
Just short of mid-on. Charlie Dean, centre of screen, just fielded that ball. She has been unbelievable, and I know people will say, well, look, the West Indies batting hasn't been great, but the drift that she's got and the challenge in terms of her consistency, she can be a real threat for this English team in that T20 World Cup. On the front leg and gone again. Another one, and the dismal performance continues for the West Indies.
Yeah, Fletcher playing around that. I'd like to have a look at it and be interested in the height. We can get a replay. But the other wicket goes down. West Indies 29 for 7. Really, they've got themselves in this position. I think Dean has bowled well right throughout the series. But I think today the opening bowlers really set the pace in terms of bowling good areas, getting the ball to do a little bit, which meant the batters just couldn't get going. Picked up wickets at regular intervals, and now really with still nearly 9.3 overs remaining, you know, it is important for these last few batters to just bat. They don't really have to go chasing any totals. You're already in trouble. You're in serious trouble. So try to bat out the overs. Get whatever total you can get, and just use it really as a learning curve. But what you were saying in relation to Charlie Jean, yeah, she's bowled well, but in the future, you know, England will get much stiffer challenges from the other teams for sure.
Coming round to you.
Left-handed Sherian Fraser out in the middle. This is just very disappointing from a West Indies perspective. From an England perspective, though, what a series it's been. And they haven't taken their foot off of the accelerator once. Even after, in that last game, they were struggling with the bat in hand, fought their way to 130, and then their bowlers dismantled the Windies for just 82. Here again, the bowlers shining. Thought 105 was below par in the first T20 International. Here we are at 30 for 7. I think Robert Samuels will be disappointed as well, because in that third T20I, they got to 140. It was the first time in 30 innings that the West Indies had got to 140, and then just went like a roller coaster down, Roland, to 82 all out in the last game, and now 30 for 7. And this will be another. They've had no answers for England tonight, and success for Alice Davison-Richards. 2 now in the over.
Yes, and disappointment there as the 8th wicket goes down. 30 for 8. Looks like England are going to have a very early night tonight. At the moment, the disappointing thing for me is the fact that I don't mind, you know, you losing wickets, because that's all part and parcel of the game. But what is disappointing now is that there is so much left in the game in terms of overs. Right? You know, you're only just past the halfway stage now, and you know, it's possible that you could be bowled out with 8 overs to spare, and that is not desirable.
A lot of thinking for the West Indies to do. As the penultimate batter, Shanita Grimman, comes to the middle. And Alice Davison-Richards, coming into the series, had never taken a T20 international wicket. Now after 2 games, she's got 3. Where do we go from here? End of 11th over, 30 for 8. In terms of the future now, there's still a T20 World Cup coming, and the West Indies, even after having a disappointing year, they finished 4th in that one international World Cup earlier this year and beat this England team. So is there any hope for that T20 World Cup?
Well, I think for sure what will have to happen is there will have to be a reversal of fortunes in terms of performances and results, because certainly at the end of this series, confidence will be very low. So it's going to be important to pick the girls up and make them believe once more that they can compete at that level. But at the same time, you know, the opportunity for these girls to be playing in the World Cup really should be enough motivation, even though you're at a low ebb in terms of your results, etc., and you're not feeling confident. The fact you're playing in the World Cup should be something to motivate you to play and try to play well.
Will be 20-year-old Izzy Wong continuing for her third. I heard Alex Jordan speaking about it earlier, the tri-series that the West Indies have coming up next year before that T20 World Cup. Just getting a warning, Izzy Wong running on the pitch. They've got India and South Africa as sort of preparation for that World Cup, but in cricket I've seen India play in that series, even though they were comprehensively beaten by Australia. It's not going to be an easy task. South Africa beat the West Indies earlier this year. A lot to think about for Hayley Matthews and her team. And for England, who've got emergence of these young seamers. South Africa is a place that have produced fast bowlers in both the men's and women's game. And they'll look to specifically Lauren Bell, the 21-year-old, then now 20-year-old Izzy Wong, who they've invested in, and think the future is very bright.
Yeah, it certainly is. But you know, they will know that they're in a contest when they come up against the Australians and the Indians, New Zealanders. Then it's a different level. So they will have to play certainly at their best to be able to beat those teams.
Just be one. And every single so valuable from a West Indies perspective. 32 for 8. What a collapse this has been. But it does help England, though, that they've got John Lewis now, new head coach, a man that was the fast bowling coach of the England men's team just months ago.
Yes, obviously it's a shift for him, really, to want to be the coach of the female team. As you said, he was the fast bowling coach with the men. So obviously he's someone with a lot of experience, and to have been in that company, working with Jimmy Anderson and Mark Wood and Joe Archer and those type of bowlers, certainly gives him a good opportunity to see it at that level, and so he will be able to help certainly the seamers in the women's team.
Full toss, but unable to capitalize. Fraser, yeah, he would have a good eye, and it's something that he's speaking at length about. Creating competition for places, yes, but the fact that you've got now someone like a Freya Kemp, who has suffered a stress fracture, 17 years old, and able to generate that type of pace. You put pressure then on a Catherine Brunt, Anya Shrubsole, who's not part of the series, and even a Kate Cross, who's played ODI cricket, to continue to perform.
As I said, they're very fortunate, England, in that the development of the women's game is very advanced in England. Not just at the county level, but right through the system. You've got the club level, the county level, and then as you go beyond that, it's very highly developed. So, there is lots of talent, dotted around, just looking for the opportunity. So they're very, very fortunate to be in that position.
Nice shot from Fraser. Should get a couple. Good end to the over for the West Indies. They survived the 6 deliveries. It's 35 for 8.
Yeah, nicely played there by Fraser. Every run counts. And, certainly would like to see someone decide, I'm not going to get out. I'm just going to bat the rest of these overs. Don't worry too much about the runs. Just spend some time.
And the interesting thing, based on your conversation in the last over, our conversation really, is that I've seen a lot of articles saying that England actually need to improve their local and domestic structure. when you compare it to somewhere like the West Indies, they're miles ahead. And the talent that they're producing is the biggest testament to that. Richards continuing.
Nicely played. Yes, you're right. Listen, you cannot be ever satisfied with where you're at because things always change. You're always looking for improvement, and you should always be looking for improvement. The moment you decide to sit back and think, "I have it covered," is then that is how you're setting yourself up for a fall. So, they're always looking for ways to improve the system.
This partnership has played a few promising shots, and they've been able to score.
Yeah, so far, both have played quite sensibly. You haven't seen big swings over the top. They've played cricket shots along the floor, and if they can do that for the next 8 overs, at least they could get some respectability.
Down the leg side, have to reball that one. Richards. I'm excited to see, though, as you mentioned, how they fare against the Australias and India specifically, but they're the #2 ranked side in the world. They just beat India about a month ago in that T20 International Series 2-1. But it's Australia that they haven't been able to get the better of. We lost to them in that One Day International World Cup final earlier this year.
Yes, but Nikhil, the game is so well developed that, say, for instance, a club in England, the equivalent of Wanderers, which is just a local club cricket, in their female side, they would have contracted professionals playing in their teams.
Just in terms of their Rachel Hayhoe Flint tournament, which is their regional tournament, every team has got to have 5 players on full-time domestic professional contracts, and then the others come from the local setup. It tells you that they have that much talent to choose from. Sliding down leg. Not only have they been able to play that regional tournament, then you have the introduction of the 100, where you have international players now mixing with that local talent, where we saw Lauren Bell, for example, really accelerate her development.
Well, the 100 has really been a tonic for the women's game. A lot of the county followers are not keen on it, but for the women's game, it's been absolutely brilliant. It's just highlighted the sport for women.
Should be another, and is another, and it's Nat Siva again at cover who takes the catch. 9th wicket going down for the West Indies, and a great way to end Richards' second over. She's got 3 for 5 now, 38 for 9.
Yeah, and I was just saying there was no rash shots, and commentators Chris, suddenly there is a rash shot. Wicket gone. Yeah, so when you did the 100 has been brilliant for that, in that it has now really captured the imagination of young kids, particularly young girls. And the fact that they can now see that there's a very good career for females playing cricket. And, it has really exploded in England right now, and right down to the base level. So England should never really have any difficulty in terms of producing good players. Whether they will be as competitive as the Australians may be something different, because, as you know, the Australians, when it comes to sport in general, not just cricket or female cricket, they are very, very competitive when it comes to sport, and they always want to be the best.
There's more disappointment for the West Indies as Karishma Ramarat comes to the middle. Sophie Eccleston will bowl her third over. Has just gone for 6 runs. And by her standards, she's had a quiet series. Mickelson, just 4 wickets in the 3 matches. And I actually looked at her performances across the 2 series, the India series and this one. She's got 8 wickets in 7 T20Is. However, that average still very low, hovering around 12 and 13. And because she's so hard to score against, this will be a couple runs though for Fraser.
Well, yes, really, there hasn't been any reason for her really to up her game in these matches. You know, she just does what she does. Just be consistent. Just puts the ball in good areas and take it from there.
Just a correction, I said 41 was the lowest score, but that was, well, that's pretty much for the West Indies in both formats of white ball cricket. That was in a one-day international game. 59 is their lowest in T20s international, so they're in danger of falling well short of that. A really sad way to end the series because they were trending in the right direction, fighting at times. Just hasn't happened today. Arm ball and almost went straight on to the stumps.
Yeah, beautifully bowled, particularly that last ball, just slightly quicker. Going on with the arm. So West Indies just fighting on. Just look at this scorecard. Just Joseph, the only one in double figures. She got 11. The rest of the scorecard looks a pretty sorry sight. 38 for 9.
Well, another change of bowling, and Izzy Wong, who's been rotated from both ends. She will bowl her 4th and final over. She's picked up the 1 wicket.
That's big.
Caught that wicket of Shamika Gajnabi back in the 6th over. But has bowled from both ends, so that's impressive. You don't see many bowlers able to rotate between the 2 ends in these short 1-over bursts. Surely, though, England will be looking for the kill and looking to dismiss this West Indies side for less than 50. Ravnarak, good defence. Will be a lot to think about though for Courtney Walsh and his coaching staff. Not a lot of time before that T20 World Cup and that tri-series. I wonder though if they do look to that T20 World Cup, the Under-19 World Cup heading into the T20 World Cup and pull from some of the talent there if they do perform at that high caliber. Someone like a Janaba Joseph or a Trishan Holder, who have now made their international debuts, do they retain their places to go to that World Cup?
Well, I think if there's absences from the main players and the girls do well, particularly the 2 who've played in this series, do well in the World Cup, that certainly would be a good reason for them to move forward.
Well, you mentioned absences. They do have a lot. They have to put that in context because from the bowling side of things, losing a Shamilia Connell, who would have been the senior bowler in this lineup, even a Shakira Selman, who was injured in that one international series, and then their biggest all-rounder and probably one of the best ever, Stefanie Taylor, who was injured in that New Zealand series, the last one for the West Indies. So hopefully if they get those 3 back, they could have a much better chance. Seems like the lower order has put up a lot more resistance than the top order today.
Well, there's been less urgency to try to score. I think sometimes you can get a little bit carried away in thinking that in 20 overs you really haven't got a lot of time. But as the score would suggest, and the number of wickets you've lost, you can see that there is a lot of time, and sometimes it needs a bit of patience.
Had she hit the stumps there, I think Fraser might have been in some trouble. And tried to advance down the track. Wong was quick. This will be a resounding series win for Heather Knight, regardless of how this game finishes. I think it'll only go one way though. First game and series back as captain in that one international series. Inside edge saving her there. Good over from Izzy Wong though. Just the one run. She's completed her spell. 4 overs, 1 for 13. 5 overs to go. 41 for 9.
Well, Hayley Matthews won a toss today for only the second time on this tour. That includes both ODIs and T20s, and she might be ruining the decision to set a total here this evening. It's been very challenging for this young side, for this depleted West Indies women's side. We heard Nick Hill and Roland discussing the number of injuries that have been plaguing some of the main players, but here we are, 41 for 9. Stacey Ann King beside me.
And Charlie Dean, she continues, has 2 slips in play.
And why wouldn't she? Charlie Dean specifically, who has a symbolic 22nd birthday today on the 22nd of December, will be looking to draw a line under the series and start the Christmas celebrations early. Cherry Ann Fraser is resisting.
And again, as mentioned by our 2 colleagues, in the lower order, well, they've really showed some fight. You can see that there's intent to score, but they're also possibly thinking about batting out these next 5 overs. Or at least they should be thinking about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. They owe it to themselves. They owe it also to the fans watching here at the ground tonight and watching across the world on this live stream. Minutes in the middle. Every second, a bit of experience. Jacqueline Williams not interested.
You just wonder if Karishma Ramharak got some bat onto that. No, she wasn't moved by the appeal.
And a dot ball for the last as well. 2 for 8 so far from her 3, Charlie Dean, and West Indies women 43 for 9.
Yeah, Karishma Ramharak, another young player who has been in the shadows. And I'll say in the shadows of Anisa Mohammed, because she does literally the same thing in terms of those off-break balls. The only difference is she bats right-handed, left-handed compared to Anisa Mohammed. But a good opportunity here for Karishma.
Yeah, we heard our colleagues discussing a little earlier, Stacey Ann King, what a challenging moment this will be for Courtney Walsh and his team as they assess not only this performance but what the team will look like in the new year ahead of that T20 World Cup. So I want you to start thinking of some positive takeaways that you've seen.
And Freya Davies, well, she continues. She's bowled 2 overs for just 2 runs and picked up 2 wickets, including 1 maiden.
She's getting into the 2 party as well, like Charlie Dean, all the 2s. Oh, he's given it. He's given it, and that's it. That's the West Indian innings. 43 is the number on the board, unfortunately. It will be the lowest total for the West Indies women in a T20 international.
And high fives for England, but West Indies, well, they'll be disappointed. Having won the toss, Hayley Matthews, and deciding to have a bat first. Well, their batting woes, it continue. As they're all out for 43, and now they've set a new lowest total, because previously it was 59 for 9 in 2019 versus India, Providence, Guyana. And this time around against England, 43, all out in 16.2 overs. Disappointing.
Yeah, it will be disheartening for the West Indies. I mean, Janaba Joseph, the youngster from Trinidad, 19-year-old, top scoring with 11 off 22 is not good enough. So 43 is the total. And it will be very disappointing for Captain Hayley Matthews, who I see out in the middle already, warming up, bowling, turning her arm over, bowling some of her off spin. Probably doesn't even want to look up at the board. And although it will be disappointing for the West Indies team and for individual players, the coaching staff, etc., perhaps it is in keeping with the theme of this series and also how England has been here in the Caribbean, Stacey Ann.
Oh yeah, just as we see that bowling lineup or that bowling performance from England. 2 3-wicket hauls, 1 for Freya Davies.
Look at her economy.
And 1 for Alison Davidson Richards. And Charlie Dean, well, she's been exceptional throughout this series. 2 for 8 off 3 overs. And Nat Siver just chipping in. And Easy Wong with 1 apiece. The only person without wickets is Sophie Eccleston. But she has been very economical. 3 overs, 8 runs, 14 dot balls, economy rate of 2.7. And this England bowling lineup, well, they'll be very pleased with this performance. And just 7 extras.
Yeah, and meanwhile for the Windies, it will be one to forget, one to just learn from, write it down, put it in your back pocket, carry it forward as experience. This was a time when the team was repleted from injuries, etc. We take a little break here and we'll come back for the second innings.
We welcome you back to the Kensington Oval, Bridgetown, Barbados. It's the 5th T20 International between the West Indies women and the England women. And England have been dominant, to say the least, and they've continued dismissing the West Indies for their lowest ever T20 International score of 43. And now out in the middle, Sophia Dunkley, who's been a revelation at the top of the order, alongside Danny Wyatt. And Hayley Matthews with the new ball in hand, as Stacey Ann King alongside me. Stacey, a real disappointing day for the West Indies.
Good afternoon, Nicole. Good afternoon to our viewers. Really disappointing. 43 all out in 16.2 overs. So not even being able to bat out their 20. It's going to take something special to hold down or to defend that total.
And straight away it runs. And this will rub salt into the wounds. Easy 2 for Danny Wyatt, who hasn't played the last 2 matches. You said good afternoon to start your stint, Stacey. The West Indies will be wishing it was the afternoon to go back to the toss and possibly bowl first. But this has been the most one-sided affair in the 8 matches we've had. Probably the most one-sided affair in the matches the West Indies women have played all year. It's a race to the boundary, but doesn't get there. Aline does well. And they're going to come back for 3 as well, challenging her. Amalia Aline, and 5 from the first 2 deliveries.
Yeah, big boundaries. Those square boundaries. And good work from Allen in the end. But even better running from this pair, Sophia Dunkley. Well, she's been a sight for sore eyes. Opening the batting.
And just if the first T20 International was anything to go by, where the West Indies posted 105, England chased it down in just over 13 overs. So what would they do with 43?
Especially with these 2 batting. And we know how dangerous both these players can be.
Knowing the intensity of Heather Knight, she'll be drilling in her team to still be that high intensity unit. And still play this like if they were batting first in a power play, looking to post a total.
Well, again, they're preparing for the T20 World Cup next year, February. So, again, if they're set in a situation like this at a World Cup, they'd want to win in as least overs as possible. I think that might just be the plan and from this England batting lineup. 6 without loss after the first over.
Yeah, just been a sad day all around for the West Indies. And a lot to think about, as I think it's going to be Sherry-Ann Fraser with the new ball. No, Alia Aline will come into the attack. You think for Hayley Matthews as well, a young captain, just her 2nd T20 International Series as skipper. Would be a lot of disappointment for her as well, personally.
Yeah, she's gotten starts in majority of these T20s, but if you look at the way that she's been dismissed, it's almost as though she has made the mistake, and rather than a good ball getting her out. So something for her to think about as well, because she would have made a difference just being out there and being at the crease. I think maybe she just needed to sit back a bit, tame that aggression, and have the others bat around her.
Through extra cover, and this will be more runs for England. And Sophia Dunkley, who was had a standout tournament. And if they lose tonight, the West Indies women, it will be 12 consecutive matches in all formats without a victory. They did have that tie and then lost in the Super Over. And that's the longest run in their history, Stacey.
Wide signaled.
Ali, though, on a more positive note, has brought something with the ball in this series, been able to get a bit of swing with that new ball, and does have the pace, so she can be one for the future in terms of her development. Height may have been the problem for Aline. Good accuracy though, challenging the stumps.
And just to add to that statement, it really has been a tough year for West Indies women. They've so far played 9 matches before this one, winning 1 and losing 7 outright, including that super over that you spoke about.
Slip comes out, goes to an extra point in the offside. So 2 point fielders, 2 outside the circle, deep third and deep cover. No long off or long on, both inside the circle. Has to reball that one. What do you put it down to though, Stacey? Because you've seen pretty much all of those 9 matches up close. Is it the missing of personnel like a Deandra Dottin and like a Stefani Taylor, Connell, etc.? Or has it just been outplayed and lack of performances consistently?
Wide signaled again. Yeah, it's a bit of everything, I'd say, Nikhil, because when you think about this present team, or this team that has been in this series, this T20 series, there's a number of senior players no longer there. Well, whether it's due to injury or whether it's due to retirement.
Shot. Gorgeous shot, and it'll get into the boundary, even with that deep cover field in place.
Yeah, given with Danny Wyatt, and she will not miss out. Allen will have to be careful. Yes, she has most of those players on the offside, but that is way too much width for that one fielder in the deep, Trishan Holder.
It's a bit predictable as well, because last 3 deliveries had all been wide outside that off stump. This time much closer. From an England perspective though, these 2 have opened the batting now in 3 of the 5 T20Is. They've been dominant every time they've been together, led by Dunkley. That was the boundary again. Clean hit. Wonder, Stacey, could this be the partnership that we see start the T20 World Cup for England?
Well, they've used a number of other players. They've tried Lauren Winfield-Hill. Didn't quite get a start, or got starts, but didn't quite carry on. And so opting to go back to this pair, because this pair, well, they've got a lot of runs behind them. They've got a really good understanding as well. Danny Wyatt and Sophia Dunkley. And they've run really well. Their communication has been really well between the sticks. End of over number 2. 17 without loss.
It's been a late decision to have Sophia Dunkley join Wyatt at the top of the order. But since she has now in the 8 times, she scored her only 2 T20 International 50s. She struck at 135 and also averaged just below 35. So it tells you she's been dominant. And clearly having the power play with just 2 fielders outside the circle has helped her scoring ability and the rate which she scored at as well. Hayley Matthews continuing.
quicker delivery from Hayley Matthews.
And the two are very good friends, Matthews and Danny Wyatt. You heard her just say it through the effects, mate. Rapid. She's much quicker through the air today, Hayley Matthews. There has been a few times where there's been indecision though in the partnership. Dunkley's been run out twice in the series.
I think that's what I like about her. She's always looking. She's always looking to turn over the strike, looking to find a gap.
Stacey, I heard you mention in the last game how much you like the fact that she's very low to the ground. How much would that help in her assessment of the length early?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I like that because yeah, she's able to do stuff like that. Punish anything that's short or strays in length.
Yeah, badly missed her length there, Hayley Matthews. And if you've watched Sophia Dunkley across the two series, you know you have a very small margin of error. She will make you pay.
Yeah, not doing anything out of the ordinary. Gets low, gets in position, and plays it on its merit.
There is a long on in place though, and this time she perishes. That fearless nature sometimes can be to a wrongdoing, and today, Hayley Matthews getting the better of her.
I almost say commentators curse because I'm just talking about how good she has been, Sophia Dunkley. Well, she departs for 7. West Indies get their breakthrough via captain Hayley Matthews and Shabika Gajnabi.
Dunkley going for 7, a run about 7 that is, 22 for 1. But they're only 22 runs away, England, from winning this game. Was a good plan from Hayley Matthews though. Much slower, probably the slowest delivery she's bowled in the 11 deliveries, sorry, of her spell, and just enticed Dunkley to go after her.
And just those two feelers that were out for that delivery. And Shabika Gajnabi and I'm not sure if it was Aliyah Allen in that deep mid-wicket region.
That's middle. One delivery to.
Well, Dunkley departure brings Nat Siver to the crease.
Does have a slip in place. Matthews trying to be aggressive. So good over for Matthews, picks up the wicket. And England though well on their way. End of 3 overs, 23 for 1. I think Heather Knight though will want these 21 runs quickly, because even though naturally you will drop your standard knowing that you've only got a small score to get, there'll be a lot more at stake for England and a lot bigger thinking. Will be the first time we see Sharianne Fraser with the ball in hand. What a dream match she had in the last one. 3 wickets in 1 over. Was on a hat-trick as well. Very square, deep third and a deep cover. 2 outside the circle. Too short. That's a gift for Nat Siver. And she doesn't need too long to get going at the crease.
Yeah, poorly lined delivery from Sharianne Fraser. Doesn't have the feel for that delivery. Pulled into the leg side by Nat Siver.
thought about it, but left it. I asked Roland Butcher this question, Stacey. Given what you've seen now from the youngsters in the series, going into that T20 World Cup, do you look to that the Under-19 World Cup for some places, or is it too much of a task with the type of pressure that comes with a big tournament? Another wide.
Yeah, wide's totally top scoring here, but I think that's where West Indies will have to do, because these young players have really shown some resistance against this England team.
Stand and deliver stuff from Nat Siver. And if you know Nat Siver, she packs a punch. One of the best batters in the world game.
Again, straining length. And Cherry Ann Fraser. And being punished by Nat Siver. I just like how she finds gaps as well, Nat Siver. What is to rotate the strike or pick up boundaries?
In the same gap and the same result. They're finishing this in a hurry, England. A great sign of the difference in quality between these two sides.
Yeah, same shot again from Nat Siver, and almost the same delivery from Cherry Ann Fraser. I could have heard Hayley Matthews' previous ball just before that ball was bowled. Do you want to change the field?
It was aerial, but again looking to go through that onside.
I think she has to pull that length, Cherry Ann Fraser, because she's a natural in-swinger of the new ball. So it's becoming a bit too predictable for Nat Siver. Yeah, that game, last T20 picked up her career best figures.
This time in the air, and doesn't carry to the boundary, so just be 2 for Siver. Didn't quite time it as well as the 2 boundaries she hit in early in the over. What I will say though is a positive from a West Indies perspective, Stacey, is being able to witness and see the quality of this England team and the intensity at which they play their cricket with. That will be a great eye-opener for where they need to be in the coming years. Final delivery of the over. Run out chance, but doesn't pick up cleanly. 1 hit away now, England, from taking this series 5-0, 40 for 1.
And just to answer that question that you asked previously before boundaries were hit, and Nicole, definitely it's an opportunity to see what those young players or what young players are coming through the ranks from that under-19 tournament. You have Trishan Holt and Janaba Joseph, 18 and 19 years of age. There may also be some good prospects. I know for sure the Shonel Sao will be a good asset to this team. There's a few other names. Nazadia James, who would have played at West Indies A-team level. So there's a few of those young players who can be good prospects for this team, this senior team. As I say, welcome to Alex Jordan.
Thanks, Stacey. And I was going to surprise the public. Karishma Ramarak into the attack now. Yeah, that's an opportunity, I think, the Under-19 World Cup opportunity for the West Indies, really, to start looking at building a team from the ground up. Stacey Ann, there's been discussion for many years that obviously cricket for women in this part of the world
It doesn't often start as early, and there's not as many opportunities. So here's an opportunity to start early. It's an under-19 World Cup, an ICC event. Massive moment in women's sport and women's cricket. Oh, it's a big appeal. It's a big appeal. Ramarak's got her. Danny Wyatt, well, she wasn't sure, but she's taking the long stroll now. A strike for the Windies.
Yeah, Karishma Ramarak gets the breakthrough, but Danny Wyatt, she'll be disappointed because she almost seemed to have lose her footing. Couldn't quite read that delivery from Karishma Ramarak. Almost tied up her legs. She'll be disappointed. She has to go for a run of ball 11. Team just needing 3 runs. If you're there to finish, I think she'll be disappointed because she hasn't. Just found herself trapped a bit, Danny Wyatt, and got struck in front of the stumps. England, they lose their second on 41. They only need 3.
Well, this will do something for the morale of the Windies. Karishma Ramarak will certainly like it. 1 for 1 off her 3 balls.
Brings Heather Knight, captain of the England team, into the crease.
Talk about not wasting time. Once one shot away, the captain brings herself. Let me handle this situation. It's not how either team would have wanted to finish the series, no doubt.
And just as I was talking about the under-19 women's team that are preparing for that inaugural tournament in January, Ashmini Munasar, captain of that under-19 team. Jazara Claxton, who's the first player coming from St. Kitts and Nevis, also plays national football for St. Kitts and Nevis.
Wonderful. Come on, SKN.
Then, of course, there's Janella Glasgow, who has represented this West Indies women's team. She's been in a lot of camps, so a lot of experience.
Not able to get off the mark. The captain, that's the over. After 5, England 41 for 2.
And just as I mentioned, a number of the other players, Liana Scott out of Jamaica, Shalini Samaru, right arm off breaks, left hand batter from Trinidad, and Katie Jazz Mitchell, right arm off breaks.
Well, it's thrilling, it's exciting, isn't it, Stacey Yanking? A whole new generation of player to get to know. You'll be telling us all about it as when you head out there, no doubt. You must be looking forward to that. That's a big deal for women's cricket.
Definitely, I get a chance to see firsthand what the next generation of cricketers are going to bring to this West Indies senior team. Looking forward to it.
And it's a really interesting time for them because of the particular moment in the history of this West Indies women's team, there's opportunity. Opportunity knocks for that under-19 team, as Nikhil quite rightly pointed out. Shanita Grimmond now. Shanata is her name. Shanita Shanata Grimmond. True story. Yeah. Dissected. Bisected even. There'll be a couple of runs in that. Cherry-Ann Fraser does the collection duties. Well, they're just longing this out as long as they can, England. Just 1 run for the victory, 43 now. They're on the score that the West Indies put up.
I just think from an England perspective, they'll look at this series and think to themselves that even though they've won these matches, I don't think the targets were as challenging for them. They batted first in all the games, well, all the games except this one.
Well, that will be it. It's the win, T20 International. It's the whitewash of the series. A couple confused faces looking around there, and then they've started to walk. Yeah, that's it. That is the score, 44. England complete a clean sweep of the T20 International Series here in Barbados.
Yeah, let the celebrations begin for Charlie Dean. What a win on your birthday as well.
Charlie Dean says she's not ever played cricket on her birthday, and here she is turning 22 on the 22nd of December 2022, and she happens to be in Bridgetown, Barbados. I'll tell you for free, there are not many better places in the world to celebrate your 22nd birthday. So we want to say happy birthday to Charlie Dean. Congratulations, of course, to the England women, to John Lewis and his team, who were supreme professionals the entire time here. And commiserations to Hayley Matthews and her West Indian side.
Yeah, they'll know that there's a lot of work to be done between now and that T20 World Cup in February. But for England, they have a lot of positives to take away from this series. They've had some young bowlers come through the ranks and really put their hands up.
Catherine Brunt looking delighted there, congratulating her younger charges. She, of course, resting this evening, not getting involved. Izzy Wong having a go today, picking up a couple of wickets. She'll feel really good about that.
Yeah, Alice Davidson-Richards as well into her first match, well, picking up her first few wickets tonight, 3 of them.
Sophie Eccleston probably hasn't bowled her best, but will just have enjoyed the experience with her team. So much bonding and good camaraderie in this team. You can feel it when you go out there early before the games. There's Maya Bouchier, another youngster. This team so bolstered.
Yeah, hugs all around. Again, another series win under their belts.
Courtney Walsh looking like he may just have lost a bit more hair in this series. But it would have been stressful for him. Would have wanted to pick up a couple of those T20s. No doubt. But just outplayed, outclassed here in the Caribbean. The ever-smiling Hayley Matthews, who will know all these English players very well from playing cricket all over the world. I like the point that Nicole made earlier about the fact that this young West Indies side, even though they have been so humbled, will have enjoyed watching an England side that has their tail up, that might just cause a few surprises in February next year, might just be a dark horse for that ICC Women's T20 World Cup.
As we have a look at England's batting card, 2 wickets to fall, Danny Wyatt and Sophia Dunkley, and 2 players that have really stood out through all the other matches. And that's Siva. She ended on 20 of 12, and Heather Knight without scoring.
Yeah, Siva back after a break, Knight back after a surgery, both looking imperious.
And 2 wickets to have fallen, 1 to Hayley Matthews and 1 to Karishma Ramhara. Again, pace has been expensive. Leah Allen 0 for 10 off 1, and Cherry Ann Fraser 0 for 17 off her only over.
Well, a relieved and happy and excited looking England side. Yeah, selfie, why not? Sophie Eccleston. Get in there. Everyone very happy and celebrating tonight, no doubt, as they celebrate not just a series win, a clean sweep of both the T20 and the ODI series, but also Charlie Dean's birthday. I see a new DJ up on the banks there with a tent and everything. I wonder if he's come just for the occasion. A little probably disappointing for 1 or 2 of the crowd members who would have come and wished it was a more competitive match. But being at Kensington Oval, that we like to call the Mecca of cricket in the Caribbean, is an experience in itself. And being at Kensington Oval in December, well, you have to look very hard around the world to find a better climate than Barbados in December. It's a beautiful, balmy evening. And the English have all to celebrate. There'll be discussions now about player of the match and player of the series, because there's some serious contenders with the ball on the English side. So no doubt we'll have to put a few heads together to work that out. But there you see a bit of the crowd in the 3W stand. This wonderful ground under lights here this evening, right at the edge of what is now known as the mighty Griner Highway, used to be known as the Spring Garden Highway, right in Bridgetown proper. In fact, through our commentary box windows, we can see some cruise liners whose lights are on in the evening. So just a fantastic time of year to be in the Caribbean, and in particular, the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados. Have you enjoyed your time, Stacey Ann King? It's been a long tour for you here. You were in Antigua and now in Barbados.
It's been interesting, and just being part of this entire setup. But of course, with Christmas coming around, of course, I can't wait to get home.
I can imagine. Everyone wants to be near their family. I think a couple of the English coaching staff will have brought their family out here to the Caribbean so they can also enjoy the warm weather. So if you missed any of this match, these is some sorry viewing for West Indies women's cricket fans. It's Janaba Joseph top scoring with 11.43, the lowest T20 international score ever scored by the West Indies women. So a record that no one wanted to see for the last match of the series.
And your youngest player, 18-year-old Janaba Joseph, scoring that 11 of 22. I think the West Indies team, they'll look back at this and just see that they've had opportunities, but really not taken those opportunities because they were all out in 16.2.
Certainly an underperformance here this evening.
As we look at those wickets that would have fallen, and those 10 West Indian wickets, and 3 to Freya Davies, who I think really set the tone for that England bowling lineup. Alice Davidson Richards, well, she picked up 3 as well, 3 for 5. And then 2 wickets from Charlie Dean, who's picked up wickets in every match that she's played. Izzy Wong and Nat Siva 1 apiece. And to really muster that West Indies team all out for 43. Well, England's batting lineup, it didn't take very much. Danny Wyatt and Sophia Dunkley, well, they got things going. They both departed, and Nat Siva, well, she saw it to the end, scoring 20 of 12 in 5.3 overs.
Yeah, Danny Wyatt will be annoyed to have gotten out at all, but just such a simple assignment here for them this evening.
Yeah, bowling wise, Hayley Matthews and Karishma Ramharak, the 2 bowlers to pick up wickets. As England got there in over 5.3.
Right, all right. Well, I think we can join Nikhil Uttam-Chandani now, who has the captains.
Well, we've come to the end of this T20 International Series, and we'll now hear from the captains as well as some of the outstanding performers in the series. And first, let's hear from the West Indies captain, Hayley Matthews. Hayley, you've played England a lot of times in your career, but surely this must be one of the most dominant performances by them across the 8 matches. How do you sum it up?
Yeah, look, 100%. They're a very good team, one of the best in the world, and obviously with our side right now we're going through a bit of a transitioning phase. So look, I think it was a tough series for us, but so much that we can learn from it as well.
Now, you've actually moved up the rankings recently. You've had some good performances as captain. Has it put more pressure on you individually? How has it impacted your game?
Well, I think as a leader in a team, you expect to have to pull some weight. And look, I believe it's fully my responsibility to go out there and put runs on the board at the end of the day. And wouldn't have had the series I would have wanted with the bat. But look, like I said, it's a transitioning team, and still a lot we can learn from this. And even myself personally, still a lot I can learn from this series, and hopefully take into the Tri-Series and the World Cup next year as well.
You speak about that World Cup, 5-0 in this series, but that World Cup is coming thick and fast. What are the biggest takeaways from this series going into that T20 World Cup?
I think for us, we would have seen 1 or 2 games we were able to put up a little bit of a fight with the bat. The intent we would have showed in a couple of the games as well was pretty good to see. So yeah, look, I think going into the World Cup, obviously we would have had quite a few injuries throughout this series as well, and yeah, I think we got a really good opportunity to see some of the under-19 girls throughout this series. So just a couple positives that we can take out of it, and yeah, going into that World Cup, like I said, hopefully we can have a few recoveries and get some more experienced players back in the team to mix with the youth that we have at the moment.
All right, Hayley, commiserations, and wish you all the best for that World Cup.
Thank you.
That was Hayley Matthews, the West Indies captain. We'll now ask the player of the match from this 5th and final T20 International, and for 3 for 2, it's Freya Davies as she collects her award. Freya, that is a dream spell, 3 for 2 in 14 deliveries. Sum it up, how did you find things out there?
Yeah, it was really enjoyable to be out there with the girls. I think we put on our best performance probably with the ball this series, and yeah, just good fun to go out on a high.
Tell me about the leadership of Heather Knight and, of course, the coaching staff as well, which have mentioned this fearless brand of cricket that they want to play. How has that transition been within the team?
Yeah, I think it's something we've all really got on board with. It's really exciting to be part of this team and playing the kind of cricket that they want us playing. So everyone's really embraced it, and I think it's really shown in this series.
In terms of the fast bowling exploits, you guys have continuously been able to produce so many. I mean, you look at Izzy Wong, 20 years old, Freya Kemp, 17. What has been the secret to being able to produce these young quicks?
That's a good question. I don't know. They're trying to take my job, that's for sure. But yeah, we've got a real stockpile of really good seamers who are really pushing for places, and that's an exciting place to be.
All the best to you, and congrats again.
Thank you.
That was Freya Davies, the player of the match for this 5th and final T20 International. And now we'd like to invite the player of the series, and for 11 wickets in 4 matches, it's Charlie Dean. And she will stand with her award. Charlie, you're getting some good congratulations from the crowd and your team. Coming into this series, you had never bowled, you're getting some happy birthday as well. You had never actually bowled in T20 international cricket. How much does this performance mean to you?
Yeah, I think it means a lot. Thanks, guys. Yeah, to be able to perform and wear this England shirt means a lot to me. And to do that in T20 cricket, yeah, it's really special. And yeah, really happy to be here and thankful for the opportunity.
You had been in the ODI team, but this was your real first chance in the T20 international team. How much did that weight make you a bit more hungry, a bit more ambitious?
Yeah, I think I was, if I'm honest, I was gutted to miss out this summer on T20 squads. But yeah, I think that weight was almost good for me, you know, to have more experience under my belt, to really feel comfortable and confident with the ball in my hand, ready for this series.
Couple of player of the matches, congrats to you.
Thank you, thanks very much.
Charlie Dean, the player of the series in this internationals, 5 of them. She took 11 wickets in 4. And finally, we'll hear from Heather Knight, who's the winning captain of this England team, and she's led them extremely well. She'll pose with her trophy. Heather, your first series back, 8-0 across the 2 series. How have you enjoyed your time in the Caribbean?
Yeah, really enjoyed it. I think we've been hugely welcome, and it's a great place to tour and come, and we've really enjoyed the trip. Obviously the cricket's been great as well, and I think the girls have really brought into what we're trying to do, and obviously we've rotated quite a lot, and the girls have been open to that, and yeah, just embraced it all, and obviously a bit of success leading into the T20 World Cup. We've still got a few little bits we can work on, but yeah, overall really pleasing trip.
You've seen England cricket for years now. You look at so many players for you performing at the right times, and young players as well. What has been the key to breeding that young talent in England?
Yeah, it's been great. I've loved captaining some of these young girls. They've got so much energy and so much skill as well, and yeah, it's been nice to just get them out there and let them just do what they do and show everyone their skills and how good they are. So yeah, it's been great for us as a group. I think we've got that real depth now that is pushing us forward and driving us to be better as a side, which is only a good thing, and it's a nice healthy competition that we've needed for a little bit. So yeah, really pleasing, and obviously looking forward to that T20 World Cup coming up soon.
And finally, into that T20 World Cup, what are some of the takeaways from this series, and how much have you used this as a measuring stick to find where you guys are at?
Yeah, I think I've loved the fact we've kept our standards really high, even though we've obviously won every game. We've wanted to keep pushing our standards, keep improving every game, and just really go about things in the way we want to, with lots of intent, lots of freedom, and the girls have done that outstandingly. So yeah, lots to take away, and lots of performances as well individually. There's been a hell of a lot of performances. Girls have stood up when we've given opportunities, so that's great.
It's been fantastic to see you back in action personally, and congrats again.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Heather Knight, the winning captain of not only the T20 International Series, but every game in this series, and England have had a fantastic time in the West Indies to end 2022.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. Indeed. Well, that's it. It wraps us up here from the Kensington Oval. Fearless freedom. The English played with clean sweeps for England all round. And we had Freya Davies as our player of the match, 3 for 2 off her 14, and Charlie Dean, player of the series. On behalf of the whole team here at Kensington Oval, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.